There are many other successes, and those of you watching or sitting here can certainly add to them from your own experiences. But we also need to highlight some of our challenges. To become the type of district that we envision, we must improve in the following areas. Our district's biggest challenge is the same faced by every urban school district in the country. We have an achievement gap, which simply stated means that Latino and African American students are not learning as rapidly or as much as their peers. This reality has a sobering effect on us as we analyze our school's results. Certainly, we're pleased when we see that 22 of the 28 schools have increased their API scores, and certainly we are pleased when we see the scores of African American and Latino students rising, but we become disenchanted when we see that as a group, their scores lag behind white and Asian students in our district. The gap is wide and became wider in the last year. Now, we know that this is a complex problem, but the first step in fixing it is to acknowledge that we have to do something different if we are going to get a different result. And there is evidence that the gap is closing at some of our schools, so we know that it can be done. Just last week, our board held a lengthy and thoughtful discussion on the matter. And you can be sure that eliminating this gap will remain our focus until the gap is closed. Our second biggest challenge is dropouts. And although our rate was slightly reduced in the last year, our goal is to cut it in half. Currently, 22% of our students are classified as dropouts, and that's just too many. The problem has been studied by various community groups such as the League of Women Voters and City Conversations, and this year was the focus of a PUSD board task force. We believe we now have some viable remedies in place that will result in a significant reduction in the dropout rate. Now, we cannot look at our state of the school district without looking at the financial cloud continually hanging over it. This is a district whose funding has been reduced by over $35 million in the past few years, including $25 million in the past year alone. Some of the reduction is due to a declining enrollment, but the vast majority of cuts are due to the poor financial condition of our state government. This financial instability puts our district in the precarious position of raising expectations for the outcomes of our students while asking our staff to do so with fewer people, fewer resources, and less time. We're grateful to our employee associations who have agreed to reductions in salaries through a furlough program and other concessions. However, even those sacrifices, along with other cost-cutting methods, were not enough to save the jobs of the 104 people that we had to lay off. These cuts and reductions have resulted in increased class sizes, reduced centralized services, and a scaling back in some of the arts, health, enrichment, and support programs. Now, when our finance department closed the book on the last fiscal year, we confirmed that we had realized some significant savings due to the many cost-cutting measures put in place throughout the year. Of the $2.7 million saved, approximately $700,000 was realized through the energy savings from our facility improvements. And last week, the board decided to use some of these funds to hire back each secondary certificated librarian so that our middle and high school libraries can remain open. But we're moving very cautiously forward with additional expenditures because we are still faced by so many uncertain issues. For example, our state has not yet passed a budget. I think it's 83 days now past due. And until they do, we don't know for certain what our revenues will be. And so we're also going through this year with an eye on a projected $6.5 million deficit for next year. So the challenge for this district in an era of declining revenues is to determine how best to provide a high-quality education for all of our students. So in July, we approved the formation of a school consolidation committee whose charge will be to research and recommend a plan that will reduce the number of schools we operate. Now, closing a school is not a popular or enjoyable prospect. But we know that to be able to provide quality services to all of our students, we must do so at fewer sites. This committee is made up of 30 stakeholders, and they will bring a recommendation back to the superintendent and the board in November, which will result in the closure of a minimum of 3 schools 1 year from now. The plan will also include the closing of the district office headquarters on Hudson. Now, it's important to mention that no decisions have yet been made. And maybe I'll repeat that. No decisions have yet been made. The committee has just started to meet, but you can keep abreast of all of their progress right on the PUSD website. And you will have many opportunities to weigh in on this matter in the coming weeks. So where do we go from here? The district engaged a broad cross-section of the community in a strategic planning process this past year, meant to describe the skills, knowledge, and attributes of the ideal PUSD graduate. More than 800 parents, students, employees, and community members participated, and we are grateful to all that did and participated in the numerous focus groups that were conducted, and also to the volunteers who made up the Strategic Planning Committee, which developed the plan. Through the collected feedback, the committee developed strategic priorities designed to develop the PUSD graduate in 3 areas. The first is to motivate students to learn with an outstanding staff and high expectations for all. The second priority is to create an organization and environment that support learning through high-quality facilities and transparent budgeting practices and allocation of resources. The third priority is to collaborate with parents and the community. We know that our success depends on fostering stronger relationships between parents and the schools and creating strategic partnerships that support strategic priorities. Our staff is now designing the implementation phase of the plan, so you will hear more about this in the coming weeks. Ultimately, this plan is the framework for how this district will do its work for the next 10 years. If implemented well, it will change the culture of this district. And you may ask, well, what would that look like? And I'll close tonight with the answer. I'd like to share with you the culture statement that was created through the strategic planning process and that beautifully describes the type of organization we aspire to be when we say that the Pasadena Unified School District shall cultivate a culture of trust where employees, parents, students, and the community are welcomed, valued, and supported. We will collaborate with each other and our partners to achieve academic excellence, pursue continuous personal and professional improvement, and build positive relationships. We will celebrate our strengths and continually embrace opportunities to improve as a community of learners. And so, my friends, if I had to summarize the state of our schools, I would say that we are determined. We are determined to provide caring, engaging, and challenging educational experiences for every student every day. But to be this type of district we aspire to, we know that it takes more than putting together a good plan or just setting ambitious goals. That's just the first step. We know that we will be judged by every moment-to-moment behavior of each person who is employed or who volunteers in the PUSD organization. We know it won't be easy, but we are determined because there are 19,000 students who are relying on us. Thank you.